Chicken Coops. DIY Secrets for Building Coops and Taking Care of Chickens. Written by Alan Hitchcock. Narrated by Nicole Licola. DIY Chicken Coop. Considering a DIY chicken coop is a fantastic idea if you're just getting into raising chickens and are looking for something you can do yourself very cost effectively, or if you're someone who is good with their hands and looking to add a bit of personalization to their chicken coop. By choosing to DIY, you can do just that, customizing it to your own individual needs. Before going out to get the building supplies, you need to think about a few things first to ensure you're on the right track for exactly what you're looking for. Making one small error with the planning of your DIY chicken coop, and you could wind up with big problems down the road. Since much of the decision-making process in building your own will solely be up to you, it's a very smart idea to gather all the information you can first, so any money you do invest in your own coop is put to best use. Here are 4 main things to consider. DIY chicken coop size. Always err on the side of building a larger coop than you think you needed. Chickens are picky animals, and if they feel that their coop is too small, they may not lay eggs properly. Just as you would get extremely depressed living in a very small area for a long period of time, so will your chickens. When they feel crowded in, they're not going to be happy, and you will pay the price later on. Have water readily available. Also keep in mind that it's vital you have water available to your chickens at all times. You will likely find that you're constantly refilling their water feeder, sometimes more than once throughout the day. If you build your coop so far away from the water source, that's going to make a great deal of excess work for you. Don't forget about the food. Along with the water, you'll also want to make sure that it's easy for you to feed them easily. If the coop you build is too small or makes it awkward for you to access their feeder, this will get extremely annoying over time. Ensure that the way you design the DIY chicken coop will make your job easy. Remember, too, that the more chickens you plan to house, the larger the feeder you will need, unless you want to fill it many times throughout the day. You don't want your chickens to be fighting for food, so it might be a smart idea to put 2 feeders in the coop in different places to make feeding time civil. DIY chicken coop security. Finally, you should make sure the security you have around the coop is enough for the wildlife you have around you. If you live in an area where foxes, coyotes, or dogs are frequently roaming, it is extremely important you don't overlook this point. All it takes is one run-in with any of these predators for your chickens to suffer dire consequences. Reasons to build your own chicken coops. With the economy in the state it is in now, and with people learning how to stretch their dollar, many are turning to cheaper and healthier ways to raise and grow their own food. Raising chickens would be a great start. They are fairly easy to raise and cost-effective in cutting down your grocery bill. Here are 6 reasons why you should take into consideration the idea of building your own chicken coops. 1. Fresh organic eggs. Wouldn't it be fun to go out into your backyard and get your eggs every morning? Having fresh organic eggs for breakfast is a great way to start your day. Who knows where those grocery store eggs came from? There's just something about fresh eggs that can make your eggs fluffier and taste great. 2. Free weed and pest control. You can quit using store-bought pesticides to get rid of pests and weeds. Chickens love to roam around and eat weeds and bugs right out of your yard and gardens. They love to eat bugs of all kinds, and free-ranging your chickens is the best way for them to eat bugs and keep those nasty insects out of your yard and gardens. 3. Free fertilizer. No more going to the store and buying fertilizer to use on your lawn and in your gardens. Chickens produce a very rich fertilizer, more so than horses and cows. A good thing to do is to start a compost pile, and every time you clean out their coop, throw their poop into the compost pile. In no time, you'll have the best fertilizer to put in your yard and in your gardens. 4. Raise healthy chickens. Do you know where the eggs or chickens come from when you buy them in the stores? They mostly come from egg and chicken farms. Many of these farms add hormones and other chemicals to chicken feed to make chickens grow faster and lay more eggs. Some chickens get so fat they can't walk, which can lead to sickness and disease in them. This is not the way chickens are supposed to be raised. When we eat chickens and their eggs, we also consume the same hormones and chemicals that they feed those chickens. That is why our kids have health issues. 5. Sell your eggs. Depending on how many chickens you might have more eggs than you and your family can eat. So what will you do with all those extra eggs? Sell them to your friends and neighbors. Small restaurant owners love to buy local when they can. Use the money you make from selling your eggs to buy more chickens, feed, and supplies for your chicken coop. Before long, you will be making money with your chickens. 6. Have fun raising chickens. People who have chickens say they love having chickens around. If you have little ones, they love taking care of chickens, and it teaches them how to respect animals. It also tends to bond families closer together. Homemade chicken coops. Important tips for beginners. Are you looking to buy a chicken coop, but you just can't seem to find anything that appeals to you? Well then, building your own chicken coop will be exactly what you need. There are a couple of things that you have to consider before building a chicken house. How much are you willing to spend on materials and other items? Where do you get plans? What type of design are you searching for? Even when you feel that you have found a beautiful design for your coop's exterior, you will still need to focus on building a steady and durable one. Well then, let's go through some basic things you will need to know. First, and most important of all, you will need to adjust the size of your coop to accommodate your backyard. You will have to consider various factors such as the number of chickens you want to rear, total amount of space you have in your yard, and the size of chicken coop that you want to build. Inspect your landscape. Before you can start on construction, you will need to clear any obstacles which may hinder or complicate matters later on. Since your chickens require plenty of light, you will need to cut any trees which may block sunlight to the chicken house. Not only that, it will actually keep your chickens warm during those extreme winter conditions. Next, you will need to decide what type of chicken coop you are looking for. Are you looking for an extravagant, double-floored mansion with a ramp that connects both floors? Or do you prefer a plain and basic one just to fulfill the shelter needs of your chickens? Keep in mind, however, that chicken coops can get dirty very easily, so you may want to consider building a chicken coop that is easy to clean. Besides that, it is useful to find out what breed of chickens you have at the moment, or are planning to have in the future. Then, you will need to make a decision, which means wanting to breed more chickens or just simply raise and take care of your hens. If you choose the former, you will need to construct a bigger coop to accommodate the growing number of chickens. This means that you will have to expand your chicken house beyond its original size. Following similar structures. Since chicken coops are similar to much other animal housing, such as dog houses, you can look for different features of the dog house and incorporate them into your coop. The most important aspect of a chicken coop has to be its durability. Chicken coops need to be resilient to harsh weather conditions, such as the blazing heat or freezing cold. Besides that, a properly built chicken coop will guarantee more productivity and better chickens. You will need to provide insulation if you reside in an area that experiences cold or rainy seasons. Also, it prevents moisture from entering the coop. Maintain sanitary conditions. Different people have different ways of keeping their coop clean. Some of them prefer to keep their coops elevated by building them on stilts. This prevents predators such as snakes or dogs from invading the coop and eating your precious chickens. One effective way to keep your chicken house clean is by installing perches for the chicken's poop. By doing this, you can significantly save yourself lots of trouble to clean up the coop because all you have to do is clear the perches. It also prevents bacteria and contamination, and most important of all, creates a clean and healthy environment for your chickens. Building a coop is not exactly the easiest thing to do, but once you understand a few simple rules, you will find it surprisingly easy to accomplish. Which chicken coop design is right for you? Caring for chickens requires an area that will protect them from external elements, such as wild animals that can hurt or kill them, an area where they can be easily kept in comfort and convenience, and an area where eggs can be efficiently collected. Making a coop is the perfect way to satisfy these three requirements for improved chicken care. A chicken house is a small dwelling place for animals, which provides a nesting place for chickens without compromising their freedom. Different types of coops exist today, most of them created not just by professionals, but also by simple owners who just want to take care of their chickens. The basic chicken coop possesses an average range in the chicken coop design department. It has enough protective space and can comfortably house up to 5 chickens. The basic coop comes in a cube design, offering a 16 square feet area to house chickens in. As it is with most basic designs, the basic coop possesses the advantages of minimal resources, less wire, less lumber, less tools, and less cost is required to create it. Time and effort requirements are less strict as well. The size of the materials needed ensures that the coop can be done in just one day. Of course, the main disadvantage comes in the form of low capacity. A farmer cannot store more than the recommended amount of livestock without causing the chickens discomfort. The tractor coop, on the other hand, is a small-sized coop that's a perfect companion for a startup chicken collecting business. Made from a triangular, or circular frame, the tractor coop is covered with chicken wire and is complemented with a small number of nest boxes for easy deposit and claiming of the chicken eggs. The main advantage of the tractor coop is its mobility. The frame is easy to lift and move to other locations, while the lack of a wooden floor will allow chickens to eat plants and grass directly, reducing costs for chicken feed. The main disadvantage of a chicken tractor is its lack of accommodation, which can only keep 2 to 4 chickens. Another, the urban tractor, can accommodate slightly more birds without losing its easy-to-move ability. For a literal fleet for chickens, larger chicken coop designs such as the walk-in coop are highly recommended. A walk-in coop can take in from 10 to 30 chickens, a whopping difference from the tractor coop and the basic coop. This type of coop stands tall to the tune of 8 to 9 feet and can store feed, farming instruments, and nest boxes, in addition to the chickens themselves. All these chicken coop designs can benefit different types of chicken keepers while catering the needs of the chickens. The only thing needed is knowledge of one's own chickens, a bit of carpentry skills, and a good sense of what kind of coop is perfect for both chicken safety and resource economy. Things to consider when building a DIY chicken coop. Do you plan on raising your own chickens? If yes, then you'll need to build a chicken coop. Of course, there's always the choice of buying a pre-made one, but it's much more expensive than building your own. If you use a set of professional designs, you can build a DIY chicken house with very little work. Chicken houses can be made from almost anything, like PVC pipe, tarps, scrap lumber, 50-gallon barrels, and the list goes on. However, wood is the most commonly used material. Before you begin with the building process, there are a few factors that you need to take into account. Climate. Your coop should be suitable to the climate of your area. In case you live in a warm climate, you will need to focus more on ventilation in order to keep your birds cool. On the other hand, if you live in a cold climate, it's very important to use proper insulation for the walls in order to avoid humidity and keep your chickens healthy and warm. Predator control. If there are many predators in your area, like coyotes, dogs, raccoons, skunks, hawks, or bears, you should put a fence around your coop to stop the predators from entering. To increase protection, you can also try installing some bells on your chicken house. This way, every time a predator comes into contact with the fence, the bell will ring, which will scare away the animal and prevent your chickens from being eaten. Dimensions. If you own 10 or more chickens, you will need to build a large premium hen house. For 3 to 4 birds, you will need to construct a small portable one, and for 5 to 9 chickens, a mid-sized one. Every chicken requires about 3 to 4 square feet of space. Having enough space is very important for the health of your birds, and it helps them produce a lot more eggs. What is more, it's a well-known fact that when chickens are housed in confined conditions, they can resort to pecking or even cannibalism. Location. You need to choose an area where your chicken house can receive a good amount of sunlight, which will allow it to dry quickly every time it rains. South-facing coops will get the highest amount of sunshine. Choosing the wrong location can cause diseases among your flock and decrease egg production. Building your own coop can be a very enjoyable activity for you and your family, and will give you a great sense of accomplishment. Also, following the step-by-step instructions of a reliable DIY manual can make the whole process very easy. Tips to make a professional coop. Whether you are looking to keep chickens for recreational or business-oriented activities, you need to ensure that they are living in a quality coop. Coops can be extremely expensive, with a lot of mainstream retailers charging in excess of $1,000 for a high-quality one. The reality is that you can purchase DIY chicken coop plans and build it yourself for a fraction of the cost. Most people think the task is a mammoth one, so either avoid keeping chickens or pay a premium for a ready-built coop. Here are some tips to ensure your build using DIY chicken coop plans goes exactly how you expected. Number 1. Follow step by step. Even if you are not a DIY enthusiast, using plans to build a coop is extremely easy. Just make sure that you follow the plans step by step to ensure that you end up with a high-quality end product. Number 2. Do not scrimp. A lot of people try and save a few dollars here and there with cheaper materials. The fact that you're using DIY chicken coop plans already means you have saved plenty of cash. Scrimping on materials will just mean that the end product will not last as long, so do not do it. Number 3. Making revisions. Once you have completed the coop using the DIY chicken coop plans, this is when you can make your revisions. Feel free to add features to customize the coop to your individual needs. Look at coops from manufacturers for ideas if need be. DIY chicken coop building plan mistakes. As you get set to start your own DIY chicken coop, there are some very critical errors you should be aware about to ensure the process goes smoothly. Many chicken farmers rush into the building process without clearly thinking through a few of the factors that are really going to influence the results they get with their efforts. By considering these mistakes first, and then finding a good DIY chicken coop building plan to use, you will eliminate them from becoming a problem in your life. Here are the main ones you must know. Choosing an incorrect size for your chicken house. The very first mistake you may make as you go about building a chicken coop is not using the correct size in relation to how many birds you want to hold. These chickens are very picky when it comes to how much space they have and how many eggs they lay. If they are overcrowded in the chicken house, they are not going to lay nearly the same amount of eggs as they would if they weren't. Taking the time to find a plan that gives you a specific formula to follow that allows you to calculate how many square feet your chicken need to feel comfortable in the chicken house is the first step to having success. If you don't follow that and just build however big you think they'll need, problems may arise, and these problems are incredibly pricey to fix. Windows that don't face the right direction. Next, another big issue you'll have with your DIY chicken coop if you're not careful is not enough sunlight. Sunlight is essential for your chickens to be laying eggs properly, so if you're not getting enough, expect to wake up in the morning and discover you don't have any fresh eggs. It's pretty much every chicken farmer's worst nightmare. To solve this problem, use a building plan that makes reference to the exact location of your windows. Ideally, you want them to be facing a certain direction at a certain height on the wall of the coop according to the size and dimensions of the rest of the wall. It's important that you get this right, otherwise, you may need to run electrical wiring through the coop, which is another costly process that causes frustration and takes up your time. Not building the right type of fence. Finally, the last mistake that many people make with their DIY chicken coops is not building the right type of fence. It's important to identify beforehand which type of predators you expect to run into after building your chicken house, since this will influence just how effective that fence is at keeping the predators out. If you don't think about this carefully, there's a very good chance you will run into issues and one day half your coop could be completely wiped out. Finding the right type of fence is just as important as building a fence in the first place, so take some time to research the different options. So, keep these mistakes in mind. Too many people are making them over and over again when they're simple to avoid if you have a good plan to follow. Money-saving tips for your DIY chicken coop. Building your own DIY chicken coop is a very smart idea because it's going to enable you to not only reduce the costs of installing a professionally built one, but also supply you with fresh eggs on a daily basis. Many individuals cut the wrong corner when trying to build a cheap DIY chicken house, though, which only leads to them having to spend more money in the long run getting things working again. If you want to be successful and save money, you need to know some important tips on how to accomplish both with the efforts you put in. Here are the main money-saving tips for your DIY chicken coop. Avoid pricey building supplies. There are a number of different building products that you can use to construct your chicken coop out of, so understanding which ones are going to save money and stand the test of time is vital. If you choose the wrong types of cheap chicken coop building supplies, you'll wind up having to do extensive repairs to the house down the road. There are many cheap supplies that will last you for a long time, though, so identifying those will help you out greatly in this regard. Consider a smaller sized chicken coop. Next, you should also consider a smaller sized chicken coop to save money. Most individuals aren't going to need a very high amount of birds, so opting for the smaller size will save you both on building material costs and on landscaping costs. The one thing to make sure of, though, is that if you do require more than 5 birds, you're not cramming them into a chicken house that's too small. That will significantly impact their ability to lay eggs. Choose the proper direction to face the chicken coop. Finally, the last thing you should be making sure of is that you're facing your chicken house in the appropriate direction. You want enough natural light to penetrate into the chicken coop, since this will help your chickens lay eggs better and prevent you from having to wire in electrical light as well. Reading up on how to determine which direction the coop should face should help you with the issue. Just be sure you're taking windows into account as you do so. A good building plan should walk you through the process of locating your coop, choosing the facing direction, and where exactly to put the windows so you see the best results from your efforts. So keep these points in mind. There are many ways you can effectively bring the price of the coop down if you know what you're doing, But you need to be careful because if you don't know what you're doing, you'll likely spend more money in the long run. The DIY Chicken Coop Ark. The DIY Chicken Coop Ark is one of the more modern designs of chicken shelter. Whilst it's just as small and portable as the zany A-frame coop, it makes much better use of internal space. This article gives you a general outline of the chicken ark and directs you towards making the first steps to construction. Chicken ark features. Most home mini farms don't require a massive chicken enclosure. In fact, if you're looking to keep only 5 or so birds, the chicken ark is very accommodating. It utilizes 2 stories, each with a different purpose. The downstairs area is fully enclosed with chicken wire. It's a great area for your flock to feed and go for a little run. Of course, it's highly recommended to let them out at least once a day. If you're worried about predators, most DIY chicken coop plans will also show you how to build a secure chicken run. Inside the feeding area is a ramp that leads to an upstairs nesting place. This is completely enclosed with either plywood or something a little more fancy. Using some well-placed heating lamps, this area can act as an artificial incubator. You can also install an optional door at the top, which provides easy access to eggs. Chicken coop flooring. Of course, no chicken coop is complete without some kind of flooring material. It's possible just to place the coop on the grass or dirt, but not recommended. Concrete or wood is generally the best. If you don't feel like laying a slab, straw, or even sand is also very suitable. Straw is particularly easy to replace. Similar chicken coop styles. If the chicken ark doesn't sound like what you're looking for, you can take heart in the fact that most internet-based chicken coop plans contain many other designs. Other styles include the portable A-frame coop, the premium hen house with chicken run, the box-shaped coop. Choosing the right size for your DIY chicken coop. As you get set to build a chicken coop, it's vital that you're making sure it's the right size. If you aren't taking the time to put some consideration into this, there's a much higher chance that your chickens will not lay eggs on a continual basis. Hence, you're going to run into a number of problems. There are a couple of contributing factors that will go into deciding which is the right size to build your DIY chicken coop, so understanding them all is important. Here are the main ones you should consider. Number of chickens you want to keep. The first thing you'll want to think about when deciding upon your size is how many chickens you want to house. There's going to be a big difference if you want to keep 3 to 5 chickens compared to if you want to keep 7 or more. Size will come into play to ensure they have enough room to move around and don't feel crowded in. When they do start to feel crowded in, is when you're going to notice they aren't laying eggs like they should. Are you having a chicken coop run? The next question you'll want to ask yourself is whether you plan to have a chicken house run. These will help significantly reduce down on the total size of the actual house you have to build, since they will have an area where they can run around. Since running around is going to be much more enjoyable for your chickens than staying inside the coop, it's highly recommended that you do make the decision to build one of these as well. A good chicken coop building plan will instruct you on what square footage you must build your chicken house depending on whether there's a run or not. Total land area. Finally, look at how much total land area you have available to you. Obviously, if you're living on a small farm, you're not going to be able to hold a big house. Therefore, this will reduce the size of your chicken coop as well. On the other hand, if you have a lot of land mass, you may choose to build a bigger house, regardless of how many chickens you plan to have in there. Understanding what to look for in the land you build on is important as well, though, because if the land is not landscaped properly, there's a good chance that you'll have to rebuild at some point. So be sure you're keeping these points in mind as you go about building your own DIY chicken coop. The more information you can get on the factors that go into it, the more successful you will be. How to make an inexpensive chicken coop. DIY chicken coop plans. Learning how to make an inexpensive chicken coop is actually quite easy. Even the most novice woodworker can make a DIY chicken coop in just one afternoon with a little upfront planning. If you have researched buying chicken coops online, then you realize that pre-built structures that hold a paltry 10 to 12 birds are priced anywhere from $700 to $1,600 each. At that price, your return on investment will take you a year or more. However, if you do it yourself, you can save 80% off of those list prices and return your investment in a matter of weeks. There are a few key items to keep in mind when building your own hen house. 1. Make sure you plan a wide enough walkway so you can enter and leave the house without trouble. This will make cleaning and maintenance much easier. 2. Use pressure-treated lumber to build with. This will ensure the chickens do not tear up your structure and will also keep other wood pests from infesting the coop. 3. Target a hen to rooster ratio of about 10 to 1. Too many roosters and you will have trouble fighting over the females. That stress can reduce egg production. 4. Big money-saving tip. Use a set of chicken coop plans to build your structure that has a complete materials list and step-by-step instructions. Most people do not realize that you can easily learn how to make an inexpensive chicken coop using a good set of plans and one afternoon of work. It's not uncommon to be able to knock out your building for under $150, including hens. There is no better time to get started than right now. How to keep chickens. If the thought of having your own personal fresh supply of free-range eggs at home appeals to you, then you might want to consider building a backyard chicken coop and keeping chickens. Many urban centers are changing their regulations to allow people to keep chickens in the city. Roosters are not included in this allowance for obvious reasons. However, you don't need a rooster to have hens lay eggs for you each and every day. When you think about store-bought eggs, you have no idea what those chickens have been fed. If you have your own chickens, they can be grain-fed and free-range in your yard. Store-bought eggs come from chickens that are caged up all day. They don't even get out to stretch their legs. Happy chickens are healthy chickens, and healthy chickens produce healthy eggs. If you're looking for a very low-maintenance livestock, then chickens are for you. Chickens are simple creatures of habit. They like to get out in the yard each morning, and by the time the sun sets, they will all roost up in the coop, ready for bed. A good chicken coop will include doors that close and latch to keep your chickens safe from predators. Chickens like to scratch at the ground to forage for insects, and in doing this, they will naturally aerate your lawn. Their droppings provide a nitrogen-rich fertilizer that will make your garden healthy and fabulous. You can purchase a pellet-type feed from your local livestock supply store and/or grain to feed your chickens. The bag should contain instructions on how much you need to feed them each day. You should also ensure that fresh water is available throughout the day for your chickens. The basics to remember are these. 1. Provide shelter that will protect your flock against the elements and temperature changes with a secured fenced-in run. 2. Keep dry bedding in the nest boxes about 4 to 5 inches deep. 3. Provide adequate lighting for your hens to lay eggs. They need about 16 hours of light each day. 4. Feed your hens at a regular time each day. 5. Provide ground-up shells for the hens. This will ensure strong eggshells. 6. Gather the eggs each day and store them in a cool place. Throw out any cracked eggs. 7. Regularly inspect your chickens for mites and/or disease. Nesting boxes that encourage hens to lay eggs. If you raise your own chickens at home, it would be a good idea to make a chicken coop for them. Because of their relatively small size, bantams are exposed to predators such as cats, dogs, large rats, raccoons, etc. The house will keep the predators away and also shelter your poultry from the weather. If you're good with hand tools, you can build your own chicken run via do-it-yourself (DIY) approaches. A custom-made chicken coop is much better than a ready-made one. You can build in all the features to meet your requirements. One feature that you should focus on is the nesting boxes. Hens will lay eggs more often when they feel comfortable, safe, and secure. Having their own nesting box will help them do that. There's no fixed dimension for the boxes. Just make sure it fits an average hen when she crouches down to brood. More important is the filler material for the nesting box. You want to use a material which is dry, clean, retains heat, and has good ventilation. Using a pile of dry grass or wood chipping will do just fine. Most people will make the nesting box out of wood panels. If you have the budget, go for a plastic building material. Plastic is much easier to clean, hence less trouble for you. Finally, when you make the side panels of the chicken coop, make sure to include a small door near the nesting boxes. This will make it easier for you to retrieve the eggs. Good preliminary planning is the key to a good chicken run design. Top tips on cleaning chicken coops. Today, chicken coops are available in various designs. You can either get a pre-built coop, or you can even build it yourself. Building a DIY chicken coop for your favorite pet is not at all tough. If you follow the right guidelines, you can create the best coop for your chickens. There are certain things which you must remember while building your DIY chicken coop, while there are others which you need to avoid. You must be very careful about choosing the designs for the chicken coop. Some of the designs seem to be very cheap, but they are actually ineffective. These cheap designs might make you spend more money in the future on maintenance and repairs, so it's better to avoid very cheap designs. When you're looking for the best design for your backyard chicken coops, you must keep certain things in your mind. First of all, you must pay attention to the cleaning of the coop. Make sure you build the poultry coop in such a way that it can be cleaned easily. If you want your chickens to be in the best of health, then you must clean them and the hen coop regularly. Some of the coops are really difficult to clean due to certain complications. You need to avoid this. You might get the design of your coop from a reliable source, but it has been found that most of the designs fail to provide easy cleaning. You must look for those designs which will have the ground slope toward the door. Other than this, you must also ensure that your chicken coops have proper drainage systems. If you have a straight floor and improper drainage system, then you will face lots of trouble when it rains. The rainwater will be clogged inside your DIY chicken coop. You will find it quite difficult to bring them out. If you cannot remove water, your chickens will remain sitting in the water, and this can cause harm to them. So if you want your chickens to be safe, you need to keep them clean. The other thing you need to keep in mind is that the doors of the coop must not open outwards. This can make it easy for the chickens to run out easily. Therefore, cleaning is one of the most important aspects that you need to keep in mind before building your DIY chicken coop. If you follow these tips on cleaning, you will ensure that you have one of the best chicken coops for your pets. This will also help you to save lots of money in the future. Building instructions. As you set out to start your own DIY chicken coop, there is a series of steps that you must follow if you want to get optimal results. Not following these steps is likely to result in you having to spend more money down the road fixing factors that are becoming a problem. Here are the main steps to take for building a DIY chicken house successfully. Choose your materials properly. There are a wide range of different materials you can use to build your chicken coop, but if you aren't sure which ones will stand the test of time, it's important to get help. Many cheap materials will be highly effective for building a chicken coop with, but you have to realize not all of them are created equally. Most often, though, you can find materials for very little cost or even free right in your own backyard. Find good land to build on. The next step is making sure the land you build on is well suited for a chicken coop. If it's not level or firm, the walls of your chicken coop may start to sway, which will cause them to collapse over time. Whether you want to hire someone to do the landscaping for you for your DIY chicken coop, or you choose to do it yourself, just make sure it's getting finished for maximum benefits. Choose your window structure. The last step for building the chicken house after the walls have been put up is choosing your window structure. It's important to make the most of the sunlight that's coming in, since it will serve your chickens well and help them lay more eggs. Ideally, you want your windows facing the sunlight for maximum exposure, and they need to be at a certain height up on the coop to be effective. A good DIY chicken coop building plan will make this easy for you to understand and will lay out exactly where the window should be placed. It's important that you don't mix up this step, as many chicken farmers have problems with their birds laying any eggs when the windows are not done correctly. So, keep these 3 steps in mind. Obviously, there will be more finer details than just this, but these are the 3 main ones that make up the building process. Three tips for success. Building DIY chicken coops can seem like a hard process to do, but if you follow the right steps and have some key points in mind, it becomes much easier and more possible to realize success. Many people overlook simple things they can do to get good results with building DIY chicken coops, and in doing so, run into many problems down the road. If you want to have success with this project, here are 3 critical things you need to know about. Think about location. It's going to be really important that you put some time and thought into the location of your chicken coop. Ideally, you want to place your DIY chicken coop somewhere that's on firm soil and that also has a lot of natural sunlight coming in. That is what will help light up the chicken house and make sure your chickens stay healthy. If you build the house in a very low-lying area, you'll have to watch out because often rain will start to accumulate in the section of land and could cause problems to the walls. Place your feeder correctly. Next up, you also want to make sure you're placing your feeder somewhere that your chickens have easy access to it. It's vital that they have a reliable source of food at all times, since good nutrition will also make a big difference with how regularly they lay eggs. Be sure that you're not placing the feeders up too high either, as that can make it very difficult for them to reach it without any trouble. If they feel challenged to get their food, they aren't going to eat as much and won't lay as many eggs in return. Build a good chicken coop fence. Finally, The last thing you need to make sure you do with your DIY chicken coops is build a good chicken fence for your chickens. This will help to keep predators out and keep them safe. Be sure that when you're building your fence that you build it deep enough into the ground, however, to prevent smaller animals from burrowing underneath it. Often, this is something that many chicken farmers forget to do and will cause them problems down the road. Ideally, you should have it at least a foot into the ground, if not more. So be sure you're keeping these 3 aspects of building DIY chicken coops in mind. If you build it properly, it should serve you well for the coming years, and you'll save a great deal of money in the process. Caring for chickens. Enjoy your new friends. Raising chickens, whether as pets or for eggs and meat, isn't difficult, but it does require dedication. They need attention every day, so caring for chickens is a little more intensive than caring for a cat or dog. Here are just a few important notes regarding caring for chickens. Before you ever adopt or purchase chicks, you should prepare a shelter for them. This chicken coop will protect them from the weather and from predators. In addition, it will give them a quiet and dark place to rest and lay their eggs. The coop should be constructed of wire with a door that allows the chickens to come and go, but the door should be lockable in order to keep them in at night. Keep the chicken coop clean. You'll need to sweep it out every day to remove chicken poop. This may seem unpleasant, but it's not too bad if you keep up with it. And you can put the chicken poop in the compost pile to add extra nutrients to your garden and lawn. Chickens enjoy perching, so build perches around the yard as well as inside the chicken coop. Caring for chickens includes giving them places to relax. These are usually simple wooden structures, or you might set up some ceramic pots filled with hay in which they can nestle at will. Of course, food is one of the most important considerations when caring for chickens. Fresh water should be available at all times. As for food, you should prepare a mash for them, which is available in powder form at all feed stores, as well as some pet stores. Providing them with fresh, green grass and insects is a healthy treat, and they love corn. Sprinkle dry corn kernels around the yard and watch them peck around. Speaking of the yard, caring for chickens should include providing them with adequate space to roam around. They enjoy scratching in the dirt, so don't expect to keep healthy grass growing in the chicken yard. A side benefit to all that scratching is that the chickens will keep the yards free from insects. Caring for chickens should be fun. Spend time with them every day, and you will discover that they are entertaining creatures. Each chicken has her own personality. Talk to them, and they'll quickly get used to you. They even enjoy a song or two, so feel free to sing to your feathered friends. Keep the dogs and cats away from them. Caring for chickens includes keeping them calm. Other animals can stress them out, and chickens are fairly faint-hearted creatures. A good fright from a barking dog can actually cause a chicken to die. But if you provide a secure shelter, you shouldn't have a problem with other animals. Caring for chickens takes some work, but it is rewarding when you gather your first batch of eggs or see the chickens flock to you because they're happy to see you. Five care tips for chickens. It shouldn't be too hard to understand the reason why the owners of small-scale hatcheries and backyard eggs need to know how to care for their chickens well. Growing your own livestock is just like taking care of your own pets, except that these aren't exactly the kind of animals you'd want to keep indoors. All jokes aside, however, this is the most important thing you need to remember. If you're thinking of raising some fowl, you have to make sure that these birdies won't die out on you because of neglect. But the question is, How exactly should we take care of our chickens? Here are some tips that you'd do well to remember when you start a hatchery, or even if you're a chicken expert with years of experience. 1. When you're raising chickens from egghood, remember that a brooder for the chicks will be necessary. These little guys won't be fully grown birds for around 6 more weeks, so you need to find a place where they can stay. Your living room is not an option. Baby chickens stink something awful. 2. When feeding them, you will need to take a bit of care, for chicks can easily tip over feeding bowls and watering dishes. If you're really unlucky, they can end up trapping other chicks beneath those bowls. Choose the proper bins for your chicks. 3. Fully grown chickens don't need too much supervision, but visit your birds on a daily basis anyway so that you can collect any eggs that were laid. This way, you can also check if any of the chickens are behaving in a manner that would require your immediate attention. 4. If you need to leave your chickens for extended periods, make sure that they have enough access to adequate food and water. 5. Clean your coop regularly. General cleaning should be done every month, but your animals will benefit greatly from a daily cleaning routine. If you keep these tips in mind, you will discover that proper care for chickens that are happy and healthy isn't too difficult an endeavor. Always remember that it might take some getting used to, but after enough exposure to the routine, it should become little more than a task you'd probably perform in the morning after waking up. Raising chickens. Raising chickens is a whole lot of fun, but it also requires a lot of effort as they are living beings, not toys. It is essential to know the basics of raising chickens before you proceed with buying your flock. Before you start, you should be able to choose a suitable breed. Generally, make sure that the breed is able to adapt to the weather in your area. Decide whether you want chickens that primarily lay eggs or ones that are used for the production of meat. Choose the right breed that will fulfill your needs. If this is the first time you've raised chickens, do not invest in a fancy coop. Still, it is better to buy or make a good quality chicken coop. You may want to buy another one when you become more experienced in raising chickens. When you get your coop, make sure that the space is enough for raising the desired number of chickens. Make sure that you leave some space for further expansion in the future. Otherwise, you will need to restructure the coop completely or buy a new one. Nesting boxes are essential if you are going to collect the eggs. Make sure that you get individual boxes with a lip to prevent the bedding from spilling everywhere. Also, make sure that there is an easy access to the boxes so that you can collect the eggs. Providing a good number of feeders for your flock and a good number of water dispensers is important. Make sure that the feeders and water dispensers are sufficient for the number of chickens you have. Also, it is best to install items with top filling because it will be easier for you to use these. They are also more durable. When it comes to lighting, you should know that raising chickens for eggs is done according to a specific scheme for lighting, which is to be used every day. If you disturb the cycle of light-dark exposures of the chickens, they won't be able to lay eggs regularly. Always make sure that your chickens are well protected from wind drafts and that they have the needed heating source inside the coop. If you're using a flame-type heating source, then you should avoid using any flammable materials inside the coop. How to care for chickens. 5 freedom rules to keep your chickens safe and healthy. It is very easy to look after and care for just a few chickens in the backyard or garden, But that doesn't mean that you should make your level of responsibility for them any less than for any other pet, such as a cat or dog. There are 5 freedom rules that you should always keep with good chicken welfare. 1. Freedom from thirst and hunger. 2. Freedom from pain, injury, and disease. 3. Freedom from fear or distress. 4. Freedom from any discomfort. 5. Freedom to live with normal, natural behavior. 1. Freedom from thirst or hunger. It goes without saying that it is essential to keep your chickens, or any other animals that you look after, supplied with the necessary food and drink. It is also essential that you give them the correct measures and formulation for the age or type of chickens that you are rearing. Drinking water should be cold and fresh each day so that it remains free from bacteria, which will help ensure your chickens are healthy and disease-free. 2. Freedom from pain, injury, and disease. If your chicken looks unhappy or is showing signs of injury, then this should be dealt with instantly. The sooner the chicken receives the correct medical help, then the more chance it has of making a recovery. For most diseases, there will be readily available veterinary medicines, and any routine treatments for internal or external mites or parasites should be adhered to regularly. 3. Freedom from fear or distress. You need to remain responsible for keeping your chickens protected from predators and situations where your chickens could become frightened. It is obvious that good fencing and a correctly constructed coop will keep out any predators. But you should also bear in mind that dogs, cats, children, and loud noises can cause your chickens unnecessary distress and fear. 4. Freedom from any discomfort. Chickens need to live in a dry and clean coop to protect them from adverse weather and predators where they can sleep and rest in comfort. Dampness in the run or coop can be a home to various forms of bacteria, which can be harmful to your chickens. 5. Freedom to live with normal, natural behavior. Although chickens will sleep quite closely together at night, they still need the ability to find their own space until they are let out in the run during the daytime. An adequate number of feeders and drinkers should be available in different areas within the coop and run. The best way to make sure that your chickens are correctly cared for is to listen to what experienced experts have to say. Caring for chickens. What you should know about taking care of backyard chicks. If you raise chickens, it is very important that you keep them safe and protected, which will also protect your investment. The first thing you need to do is decide what type of coop you will have. Is a simple post and wire pen going to work? Or do you need something more secure, such as a hen house with a lock so that predators can't enter at night? A post and wire pen is certainly the easiest way to go, and surely would suffice for them to run around in during the day, if in a relatively safe area. And just as the name states, these are simply posts with wire fencing around it. If you want to build your own pen, you will need a hammer, a crowbar, a sledgehammer, and a crowbar. You can purchase the posts as a bundle and buy wire and staples. To begin, you should use the crowbar to dig the holes to put each post into the ground, and use the sledgehammer to hammer the post further into the ground. The length of the post will determine how far into the ground they need to go. And you should keep in mind that it can't be too low, or your chickens will fly the coop for real. Once you have all the posts firmly positioned in the ground, you will take the wire, cut to size, and fasten to each pole with the staples. When you're all finished, check for any loose posts or loose staples and use the hammer to correct these. Keeping chickens at home is not difficult when you know the fundamental steps in caring for chickens. Chickens can be kept in a small place at your home, even at the backyard. There's no need to create a special area for them to proliferate in. For keeping chickens at home is the usual setup when it comes to maintaining them. It's relatively easier to take care of chickens compared with other kinds of animals that give products ready to be sold. Keeping chickens at home need not be tedious. All you need to do is have a small chicken coop, one which is kept clean and gives enough room for the chickens. Fresh water and food must always be readily available for chickens. There are designated meal times wherein you will feed the chickens, but in between those small portions of food must be present for the hungry ones. One of the advantages that you're keeping chickens at home is that you can experiment with their diet by giving them bits and pieces of the food available to you. Chicken droppings must also be constantly cleaned from the coop to maintain a healthy environment. The sanitary condition of your coop must abide by the community rules on rearing poultry, the failure of which can lead to you being forced to dispose of your chickens. Make sure that you know the rules and follow them obediently. When keeping chickens at home, sometimes you think that a very small space that sufficiently encloses them will do. However, you must take heed of their need to scratch, peck, and perch. There's nothing better than them feeling comfortable in their surroundings. Another important thing is to remember not to cage them, otherwise they'll feel stressed out and will not be healthy. In line with their health condition, you must always check up on them and observe whether some of them are sick. In case there are sick chickens, separate them from the group immediately and treat their condition to prevent further sickness in the coop. Probably one of the reasons why you're keeping chickens at home is the eggs they give. There are chickens that are territorial with their eggs and their area, but you have to make sure that you approach the coop calmly. Do not threaten them by aggression. Most importantly, you have to make them safe in their coops. Predators such as hawks need to be kept away from them so that they remain calm and healthy. Parasites must always be checked before they infest everyone. Helpful tips in caring for baby chickens. Breeding chickens is easy, but you will need advice in caring for baby chickens as it can be tricky. Here are some helpful tips in caring for baby chickens. Chicken feed can be purchased from pet or livestock suppliers. The first food for baby chickens is the starter feed or grower feed, which you can place on a piece of cardboard near them when they first hatch. After a few days, you can place their food in troughs. Make sure that they get a steady supply of feed because they need to eat throughout the day and night. Finely chopped boiled egg yolk is a good source of essential nutrients, so give this to your baby chickens. It is best recommended if you use a good baby chick feeder for your small chickens. Using dish or bowl to feed your chicks is not advisable, as such feeding equipment can turn out messy and cause unnecessary commotion among the chicks. The worst scenario might also result from using dish or bowl for feeding, like chicks tipping over and killing another baby chicken underneath. Throwing away some dollars for a good feeder is but a good investment in the long run. Give them a steady supply of clean water. Purchase a 1-gallon water container for 50 chicks. Mixing sugar with water is recommended for the first 2 days, as this will give the baby chickens extra energy. Make sure that they drink enough lukewarm water to guard against dehydration. Temperature should be a constant 90 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit to provide them with warmth. This is usually done by placing a 250-watt bulb inside the pen. Put a thermometer in the pen to monitor the temperature. Slowly lessen it by 1 degree per week until you reach 70 degrees when the baby chicks are strong enough to survive. Baby chickens are big poopers. Thus, lining their housing unit with an effective absorbent material is needed. It is recommended if you use an inch-thick pine shaving spread. Don't ever use newspapers, as this is not an effective absorbent. A slippery surface can also lead to a permanent deformity called splayed legs, which can also lead to other chickens picking on the one affected with it until it dies. Thus, it is best if you also invest in a good and effective absorbent to avoid such unwanted deformity. Having the necessary equipment and doing extra research will make caring for baby chickens easier. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a review. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way, you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer, and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. You can look at these books too. Woodworking, DIY Steps for Beginners to Complete the Process. Guide of Popular DIY Woodworking Ideas and Plans. Do-it-yourself marketing and crafting in a woodworking business. Disclaimer. This information is provided as is. The author, publishers, and/or marketers of this information disclaim any loss or liability, either directly or indirectly, as a consequence of applying the information presented herein, or in regard to the use and application of said information. No guarantee is given, either expressed or implied, in regard to the merchantability, accuracy, or acceptability of the information. The pages within this ebook have been copyrighted.